And just like I was talking about war, and we all have seen it has terrible consequences, okay? The destruction of facilities. I don't know if anybody's ever seen what's going on in Afghanistan or Iraq, but those people's buildings, those people's lives, right, are destroyed, right? Furthermore, we have, and it's not just affecting them. Now, we may not have bombs dropping on us over here, right? But think about it. We have almost 14, I don't even know what number, amount of spending going into the bombs and the equipment. This morning I just seen they're making an Iron Man suit for the military. Guess how much we're footing the bill? $150,000 for an Iron Man suit for just one military person. One. And how many are in Iraq right now? Still in Iraq, 50,000, right? So for those mathematicians out there, do the math, right? We're footing the bill, right? And we see the effects in this economy and things like that because of defense spending. So it's not just because we don't have bombs dropping on us over here, right? That it's not affecting us, it's not destroying our facilities, and it's not affecting the services of our country. It is, in terms of an economic sense. It's affecting the services of this country, it's affecting the employment in this country. Not saying that's the only thing affecting it, but that's a major part of the debt, right? Okay. So I want this statement to stick into your minds, okay? Get a pencil and paper out right now, okay? War is a sign of failure. A failure to practice self-control, a failure to communicate respectfully, failure to resolve conflicts peacefully, and a failure to value human life. That is an amazing statement because it's so true. War is a failure of all these things. Just like how when you have war and conflict on your level, that's a failure of all these things. A failure to practice self-control. Okay? A failure to want to have that peaceful solution. And if you tuned into our past classes, I know people may say, well, what if this person is out of control? You know, what do I do? Well, we talked about that, right? We talked about a peaceful solution. Having that character trait of humility, realizing I don't have to win an argument. I mean, if you disagree, fine. You know what I mean? With what I think. Using those positive character traits, it's okay to walk away from a situation when it's appropriate. We talked about these things. So you see how self-control can solve any problem, okay, if we have that self-control. Okay, so straight talk. I'll give it to you straight right now. Self-control between nations means to keep negotiating until a peaceful solution is found. To keep negotiating until a peaceful solution is found. Next. Being a leader requires patience, diplomacy, determination, and commitment. And once again, well, Mrs. Wallace, this is on a national scale that has nothing to do with me. It does, because once again, what are you going to school for, right? What are you going to university for? To become the leaders of tomorrow. And we've seen the devastation from having leaders who are lacking this positive character. We have embezzlement, we have war, we have all these things going on because of leaders in power, right? And not necessarily leaders in power, could just be leaders in general. Leaders that people look up to, who facilitate hatred, who facilitate violence, who encourage the people to violence, who encourage the people to have a lack of self-control, right? We've seen, and it hasn't solved anything, right? We have all this crime, all this violence, all this war on a national level that is threatening right now. Look at the news. Threatening to start a nuclear war without our permission, right? It's going to affect us, and they're not asking us to see if it's okay because of this lack of positive moral character, okay? So it's more important than you think. Okay, this is not just a subject. These classes are not something that you're just going to study for once, take a test, and forget about it. This is what we need throughout our whole lives if we actually want and desire that peace. right? And safety and security. So what it all boils down to, for a society to demonstrate self-control, every individual must, 1, be committed to valuing the safety and well-being of others. Once again, you're not just responsible for yourself. You know, when you make that choice to steal from someone, or you make that person, when you make the choice to verbally assault someone, or even physically assault someone, you are not just responsible for yourself, you just brought someone else into the ring. And you could have potentially just brought several other people into the ring who you may not even know. Why? Because just like how we talked about a couple weeks ago in controlling anger, people displace their anger, meaning they may be angry at you for something you said, but they take it out on several other people, just like how we see in school shootings, right? So you just brought a whole mess of people into the ring just from your one immoral action, okay? So being committed, we have to be committed to valuing the safety and well-being of others, as well as ourselves. Number 2, we have to respect the possessions of others and work for the things you want to own. Okay? On a national scale, we see societies who see those natural resources of someone else's country, so they go in, you know, and destroy the infrastructure of that country. They destroy the lives of that country just because they wanted something someone else had. But if they're respecting the laws of ownership, respecting the laws of possession of others, right, these things wouldn't even be occurring. And same thing within our lives. If you've ever felt what it's like to be stolen from, or maybe even stolen from someone else, did you ever consider, right, did you ever consider what they had to go through to get that item, what it meant to them, right? So we have to respect the possessions of others and work for the things you want to own. And I don't mean work for it in terms of, okay, you know, I worked, I mean, I planned it out to steal this person's iPod, you know, or steal this person's bike. I worked, you know, I planned it out. I watched them every day to see when they did it and when they put it out, right? No, we work honestly and legally to obtain the things we want. So you work for it, right? You get it as a gift. You inherit it, right? You have to want to attain these things legally. Work for them, okay? And you have that satisfaction in yourself that you made that positive choice, okay? And also, we have to be willing to stop and think about the consequences of your actions and how your actions affect others. Once again, and this is such an important point, because it's such a widespread idea here that we are just responsible for ourselves and that's it. No way, okay? Once again, we are responsible for ourselves and those around us, okay? Just like how, think about that attitude. Let's go back to that attitude that I'm responsible for myself, right? Say, excuse me. Say I'm a leader of this country, right? And you know what? I'm responsible for myself. So you know what? We're going to go over there and take their stuff. We're going to go over there and we're going to take them stuff. Matter of fact, we're going to drop a few bombs over there. Matter of fact, let's just drop a few on our own people because I'm responsible for myself. And it's not only about me. And only me, right? I'm responsible for myself and only me, right? Think about that. Would you elect that person? If they were in a campaign, they're like, yeah, I'm going to spend this much on you know, cable television. I'm going to spend this much, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And then the people are just looking around like, but wait, what about us, though? What are you going to do for us? I'm just responsible for me. What you talking about? Right? You see, you wouldn't elect that person. So why would you act like that person? Okay? If you've seen that person campaigning like that, you would not elect that person. So don't act like that person. Okay? So that's what it takes for a society to demonstrate self-control. Okay? Keep that in mind. Alright, so we're at the end of the class, but it wouldn't be the end without a recap, okay? All right? Keep your noggins on. We're not done yet, okay? Number one, what did we learn today? That each person has the choice to practice self-control in their lives. Nobody makes you angry. Nobody makes you act out of control. Nobody makes you, displace your anger. Nobody makes you scream at someone else. You make that conscious choice, just like how we learned in previous classes. You make the conscious choice, but you can also make the conscious choice to control all that. And you can make the conscious choice to have a peaceful resolution. We learned that you contribute to society. Yes, in everything we do, we contribute to society. We are interdependent upon each other, right? We are interdependent. We are not alone, right? We also learned that a lack of self-control in society leads to consequences such as crime. Here's what I want you all to do today. I want you to go to Google, and I want you to Google that crime clock, okay? I want you to Google that crime clock. And I also want you to Google doomsday clock as well. And you'll truly see the lack of self-control in our society. And the doomsday clock is actually on a national scale. Okay, it's gotten so bad that we even got a clock to monitor that stuff, right? So I want you all, if you're watching this right now, Google crime clock, and I want you to Google doomsday clock. And we'll see the consequences of a lack of self-control. We also learned that bullying is not a game. It's not a game because you never know how the next man is taking your comments, right? It's a common thing that we do to disrespect other people. Why? And you never even know if self-control is where we stop and consider, my comments could be bringing emotional turmoil to that next person. I actually went to a school where a girl was bullied and she committed suicide. I went to a school and knew of that girl who committed suicide because she couldn't take it anymore. And guess what? Those bullies, and I knew of the bullies. I remember that very day we found out those bullies were wailing like babies, right? They may have been having fun and making comments, but when she committed suicide, they were crying, right? And you can't take that choice back. Just like we learned a couple weeks ago, some choices we only make once, some words we only get to say once, okay? And we can't take them back. All right, we also learned that road rage is a lack of self-control. It is a lack of self-control. It's a failure to control your anger and your emotions and actually rationalize. What's it going to solve? What am I going to solve by yelling at this person and cussing at this person? And once again, we've even seen situations where people got killed just for cussing someone out or cutting someone off, right? Excuse me. And we also learned that conflicts occur within nations or between nations. Within nations, us, right? Or between nations, our leaders. Okay, these conflicts occur because we are, at this time, some people aren't looking for that peaceful solution. And once again, I'm responsible for me. That's only me. I'm responsible for my actions. I don't care about anybody else, whatever. I don't care what you say. I'm just going to do whatever I want. Okay, I found it so shocking how many leaders and national leaders who just make decisions without even so much as asking the public. And they do. They do it every day because guess what? I'm responsible for me and I'm responsible for my own interests, right? Not even national, on our level too. I'm responsible for me. You offend me, you know what? It's on, right? But you never stop to think how you could potentially bring other people into the ring with our, I'll say our, because we're all in this together, with our immoral choice. Okay? And then the last thing, a true diplomat will try to seek what is fair for all people of the country he or she represents. Some of you watching today may be people who are going to school, going to university to become part of those positions, whether you're a political science major or you're going into that field or something like that, right? You're going to be the future diplomats of the world, but we need to be diplomats now, okay? It doesn't start later. because you're not going to know how to do it later when we got about a couple million people's lives involved, right? We need to learn how to be diplomats now. Remember what we talked about a true diplomat is, okay? They keep negotiating till they find a peaceful solution. If you're having a conflict with someone else, you keep compromising, not necessarily compromising with an immoral behavior, but you keep compromising, you keep negotiating until you find a peaceful solution. Even if that peaceful solution has to be you just taking that humble attitude and saying, you know what, you believe what you believe, or you disagree with what you disagree with, and I disagree, let's agree to disagree. And leave it at that. And that's just a small conflict. I mean, this can work with any conflict. Okay, that's a true diplomat. Okay? Okay, so thank you once again for tuning into another Peaceful Solution lesson here in Ypsilanti, Michigan. We thank you for watching, and we encourage you, take these things to heart. Okay? Take these things to heart, because like I said, this is not just a class you're going to use and take a test. It's going to be a test next week, you know, then forget about it. This is going to be you. This is going to be your character. We're talking about your character here. We're talking about your life here. Okay, I don't know, not a person who loves to have drama and loves to have turmoil and hatred, because it wears on yourself. Just like we talked about a couple weeks ago, all these things affect us physically, affects our immune system, our hearts, right, our functions, right? So I encourage you, keep this in your minds, keep this on your papers, and ultimately keep this in your hearts. Thank you.